Okay, so Valentine's Day, right? It can be, I don't know about you, but for me, it can be a lot too, especially if you're single.
Oh, yeah.
But what if, and hear me out here, what if we flip the script? What if being single, especially on Valentine's Day, was actually like this awesome opportunity?
Okay, I like where you're going with this. Flipping the script, huh? I'm
Yep.
in.
So that's kind of what we're doing today. We're doing a deep dive
Okay.
into, get this, a fictional podcast script.
Wait, really? A script?
Yeah, I know, right? Sounds kind of out there. But this script, it's for a show called Love Unscripted. And honestly, it's got some really interesting stuff in it.
Love Unscripted,
Yeah.
okay? A fictional podcast. So we're kind of analyzing how they use storytelling to maybe explore different sides of this whole singlehood thing.
Exactly. And the hosts, the names are amazing. Hazel and Transcript the Truth.
Oh, wow. Yeah, those names are definitely attention-grabbing. Okay, so what's the main gist of this episode? What are Hazel and, what was it?
Transcript the Truth.
Yeah, Transcript the Truth. What are they saying about being single, especially on Valentine's Day?
So they're basically saying forget everything you think you know about Valentine's Day, especially if you're single. Like they're really all about celebrating being single,
Interesting.
not just like, getting through it,
Right, yeah.
but like really owning it.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
They're saying it's this time like to really figure yourself out, to grow, to build these really strong connections with people.
Without all the relationship stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Without like all the pressure and expectations of a romantic relationship.
See, I like that. That kind of reframing, thinking about the positives. There's actually a lot of research out there that shows that kind of mindset, focusing on the good stuff, it really can make a difference, like for your well-being, for your happiness.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's about changing your perspective, right? And this Love Unscripted thing, it sounds like they're really onto something.
Oh, totally. And they get pretty specific too. Like Transcript the Truth, they're all about, self-care,
Okay.
but like real self-care, not just like, bubble baths and face masks.
Right.
They're talking about taking advantage of being single to do all the stuff you might not be able to do if you're in a relationship, like travel or take up a new hobby or just like, I don't know, rearrange your whole apartment to be exactly how you want it.
Let's love that. It's like being single gives you this like freedom to explore, to grow, to really become who you are without having to compromise.
Yes, exactly. And Hazel, she's got this really cool idea. She's like, why not use Valentine's Day to like actually celebrate yourself? Like do something just for you that you really enjoy.
Okay, yeah, treat yourself, right?
Yeah, like go all out, have a fancy dinner, go to a concert, or just like stay home and read a book all day, whatever makes you happy.
It's interesting because when you think about it, they're not just talking about self-care, they're talking about self-love.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It's like recognizing your own value and celebrating who you are, whether you're in a relationship or not.
Right, and they don't stop there. They even suggest using Valentine's Day to like connect with other single people.
Oh, interesting. So it's not about isolating yourself. It's about finding your community.
Yeah, like go to events, maybe even organize something yourself.
It makes sense. We're social creatures, right?
Yeah.
We need connection, and it doesn't have to be romantic.
And Hazel, she's got this great line. She says something like, who knows, you might even meet your next great love story while sipping mocktails with your single friends on Valentine's Day.
Uh-huh. I like that.
Right. It's not about like shutting down the possibility of romance. It's more about like focusing on the connections you have right now and being open to whatever comes next.
Exactly. It's about enjoying the journey, not just the destination.
And one of the things that I really appreciate about Love Unscripted is that they don't pretend like, everyone's just happy-go-lucky about being single on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and roses, right?
Exactly. They acknowledge that. Like, yeah, sometimes you feel lonely. Sometimes you feel the pressure.
Especially on a day like Valentine's Day. It's everywhere you look.
It can be a lot. But what I like is that they give you tools to deal with those feelings.
So it's not just about, like, pretending those feelings don't exist. It's about acknowledging them and finding healthy ways to cope.
Totally. And you know what? They actually go even further and, like, question this whole idea of Valentine's Day as, the be-all and end-all of your love life.
Whoa. Okay, they're going there. I mean, that's a pretty big deal to challenge a holiday like Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it is. But they're basically saying, look, it's just one day, right? It's this made-up holiday that shouldn't define your worth or your ability to love and be loved.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And it's true when you think about it.
And instead of focusing on romantic love, they suggest celebrating all kinds of love. The love you have for your friends, your family, and most importantly, the love you have for yourself.
I love that. It's like they're taking back the holiday and making it about something much bigger, something more meaningful.
And that's just the beginning. There's so much more in Love Unscripted, and I think you'll be really surprised by like how much this fictional podcast can teach us about real life.
I am definitely ready to hear more. Let's dig in.
Awesome, because next time we're going to get into some of Hazel and Transcript the Truth's really practical advice about how to actually spend Valentine's Day when you're single.
Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be good.
And trust me, their suggestions are anything but ordinary. So, Love Unscripted is all about like changing how we see Valentine's Day when you're single. But how do they say to actually, like do that?
Right. It's one thing to say, like, celebrate yourself, but what does that even mean?
Yeah, like what does that look like in real life?
Well, they have some pretty specific ideas, and it's not just the usual, like, get a massage or go shopping.
Okay, so what do they suggest?
Well, one thing that really stood out to me was they talked about using Valentine's Day as a time for, like, deep self-reflection.
Hmm. That's not really what usually comes to mind for Valentine's Day.
No, not really. It's almost like they're saying, turn it into, like, a personal retreat.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and Transcript the Truth specifically talks about taking time to think about, like, past relationships, both romantic and just friendships, and really figuring out what you learned from them.
So not like dwelling on the bad stuff, but more like using those experiences to, grow.
Exactly, like Valentine's Day journaling or something. What have I learned about myself, and what do I really want in relationships? You know?
I like that.
And that's just the first step. They say, like, self-reflection is important, but you got to pair it with action.
So it's not enough to just like think about things. You have to actually do something with those insights.
Right. Hazel's idea is to use Valentine's Day as like a starting point for, maybe starting a project you've been wanting to do or learning a new skill.
Oh, that's a cool idea, using Valentine's Day energy, which is usually all about romantic love and like redirecting it towards yourself.
Exactly. And they even say, like, maybe this is the time to finally break a bad habit or, start eating healthier.
Okay. So turning a day, that's usually about like indulging into a day of self-improvement.
Yeah, it's pretty different.
Yeah.
But it fits with their whole idea of like taking charge.
Mm.
It's about saying, this day doesn't have to be about what I don't have. It can be about becoming, the best version of myself.
I like that. And it's not like they're saying to just stay home alone all day. They do talk about connecting with people, just not necessarily in a romantic way.
Right. They're really
Yeah.
big on the whole community aspect. They suggest getting together with friends, maybe have a potluck or play games or even volunteer for a cause you care about.
Yeah, so it's about remembering that you need other people no matter what your relationship status is. And, creating your own kind of Valentine's Day that feels good to you.
And they talk about Galentine's Day, which, has become pretty popular. It's all about celebrating those really strong friendships between women.
Which is awesome because it's not just for single women, it's for anyone who wants to, celebrate those friendships.
Exactly. It's about showing that Valentine's Day can be about way more than just romantic love.
And speaking of expanding the definition of Valentine's Day, Love Unscripted doesn't shy away from like calling out the whole commercial side of it.
Oh, yeah. They definitely talk about that. Like how all that pressure to buy expensive gifts and do all these big romantic things can be really stressful and, expensive.
Yeah, it can be a lot. And they even suggest using social media to, share how you're celebrating Valentine's Day differently, almost like a counter movement to all the traditional stuff.
Uh-huh. That's a good idea. Using those same tools to, like, disrupt the message.
Right. And they don't just complain about it, they actually give some pretty creative ideas for celebrating on a budget.
Oh, yeah. I loved some of their ideas, like having a clothing swap with your friends or doing a movie marathon at home or even volunteering at an animal shelter.
Yeah, it's all about focusing on experiences and connecting with people instead of, spending a ton of money.
And I think that's a really important message. It's about shifting your focus from what you don't have to what you do have.
Exactly. So basically, Love Unscripted is like a guide to not just surviving Valentine's Day as a single person, but like really making the most of it.
Totally. It's about taking charge of your experience and celebrating your life in a way that feels right for you.
It's amazing how much you can learn from, a made-up podcast.
It really is. Love Unscripted gives you this whole new way of thinking about Valentine's Day and some really helpful tips for dealing with them.
Okay, so we've talked about reframing Valentine's Day and even specific things you can do, but what about all those like unavoidable social situations?
Oh, yeah. Valentine's Day can definitely be a minefield when you're single.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
So yeah, you're right. Like what about all those moments when you can't escape? You know?
Like when you're surrounded by lovey-dovey couples?
Yeah. Yes. Or like family members asking all those questions.
Oh, yeah. So are you seeing anyone? Question.
Can we just skip to February 15th, please?
I know, right?
Eh?
But the cool thing is, Hazel and Transcript the Truth, they're all about, taking those moments and using them as opportunities
Okay. Opportunities for what?
to like stand up for yourself, set boundaries,
Yeah.
be in control.
So instead of feeling awkward and like you're being put on the spot,
Exactly. They're like, hey, this is your chance to decide how you want to handle it.
I like that.
And they have some good tips. Like for those nosy questions, they say, have a couple of answers ready to go.
Really?
Something funny or just something that changes the subject.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's way easier than trying to think of something clever on the spot when you're already feeling uncomfortable.
Totally.
Yeah.
And they also say to be proactive about setting boundaries. Like if you know a party is going to be all couples all the time, don't be afraid to skip it or suggest something else that feels better.
Yeah, you don't have to put yourself in a situation that's going to make you feel bad.
Right. It's about knowing what's best for you and not feeling like you have to follow some, rule book.
And they even give you like actual scripts for,
Right.
saying no to invitations or changing the subject when the conversation gets too personal.
It's like they're giving you all the tools you need to handle those situations smoothly and confidently.
Exactly. And they're really big on the idea that it's okay to put your own happiness first, even if it means doing something different than what, people expect.
It's like rewriting the rules for Valentine's Day.
Exactly. And they remind listeners that the people who really care about you, they'll understand and support your choices.
That's so important to remember.
And for anyone who's still struggling with, feeling good about being single on Valentine's Day, Love Unscripted has one last piece of advice.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one. What is it?
Gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
Like really taking time to appreciate all the good stuff in your life relationship or not.
So instead of focusing on what you don't have, it's about appreciating what you do have.
Yeah, they suggest actually writing down a list of things you're grateful for. Your health, your friends, your hobbies, your cat, whatever makes you happy.
It's such a simple thing, but it can really change your whole outlook.
It's like reminding yourself that happiness isn't something you find, it's something you create.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
So when you put it all together, Love Unscripted is basically saying, forget everything you thought you knew about Valentine's Day.
Yeah, they're saying take charge, create your own experience, and celebrate your life on your own
It's
terms.
pretty amazing how much wisdom you can get from, fictional podcasts.
Right. Love Unscripted really gives you a whole new perspective on Valentine's Day and some really practical tools for dealing with it, whether you're single or not.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that, Valentine's Day is just one day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to define you.
So what do you think, listeners? Are you ready to rewrite the rules for Valentine's Day? Embrace the freedom, celebrate your life.
Remember your worth and your ability to love don't depend on whether or not you're in a relationship.
So no matter what your situation is, take some time to appreciate the good stuff in your life. And don't be afraid to create your own happiness.
Who knows, maybe by changing your perspective and opening yourself up to new possibilities, you'll find even more love and connection than you ever imagined.
That's a great thought to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Love Unscripted.
Yeah, this was fun.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.